Coming up on Spartan Sports Report, the number 3 Ohio State Buckeyes came into East Lansing in Jonathan Smith's toughest test yet. After a draw to number 11 Ohio State, the women's soccer team looked to get back in the win column against Rutgers. And volleyball began conference play, going on the road to face 2 of the top teams in the conference.
Happy October and welcome back to an all-new episode of Spartan Sports Report. I'm Brad LaPlante.
And I'm Charlotte Turbrack. This week of Michigan State sports had women's soccer defending their first in the nation title.
And a Spartan legend returned to campus. There was a lot of excitement in East Lansing, so let's get into Spartan Stadium, Charlotte.
That's right. Following a tough loss at Boston College, the Michigan State football team was back home on Saturday to take on the third-ranked Ohio State Buckeyes. Unranked MSU entered this one as heavy underdogs, as Buckeye head coach Ryan Day entered Saturday's contest with 42-0 against teams outside of the top 25. Following an Ohio State field goal on the opening drive, the Spartans driving down to OSU's 20, but MSU quarterback Aiden Childs is stopped during a 4th and 1. In the second quarter, Ohio State quarterback Will Howard finds tight end G. Scott Jr. to make it 10-0. But MSU continues to move the ball on offense. Childs finds tight end Jack Belling for a 26-yard gain, but a hit jars it loose for a costly turnover. The ball would swing right back as Spartan linebacker Jordan Turner picks off Howard and returns it down to the 12. On the very next play, Childs finds wide receiver Jerron Glover to trim the deficit to just 3. After that, it was all Buckeyes. Freshman wide receiver Jeremiah Smith scores 2 touchdowns in the second quarter, and the Spartans just couldn't battle back. Fumbles, incompletions, and sacks plagued the Spartans, allowing Ohio State to cruise to a 38-7 victory. Afterwards, running back Nate Carter spoke about how the Spartans are refusing to let use these last 2 losses as an out.
It's easy for good teams, for great teams, which I believe we have, to get to this point in the season where we lose a couple games and now it can go downhill. And I think the message of the locker room was for us not to allow that to happen. Saturday
also cemented one Spartan's legacy into the heights of Spartan Stadium. Former Michigan State head coach Mark Dantonio was inducted into the Spartan Ring of Honor, joining coaches Clarence Munn and Duffy Doherty. Dantonio coached MSU for 13 years and finished his tenure with 114 wins in the green and white. He had 6 bowl wins, won 3 Big Ten championships, and took the Spartans to the second ever college football playoff in 2015.
I hope every one of these players that are here and everybody that's really worked with us closely sees a little bit of their name up on that award, because I think these are program awards. I think these are things that you don't get there without a lot of people. And everybody's got to be pulling in the right direction and doing their job and be excellent at their job. So when we came here, we wanted to build a legacy, and I think that's what we did as a program.
Michigan State women's soccer team was back at DeMartin Stadium for Alumni Day on Sunday afternoon for a battle with Rutgers. The number 1 ranked Spartans were looking to continue their longest unbeaten streak in program history, and the Scarlet Knights proved to be a tough opponent. A scoreless first half left both teams gridlocked, but the Spartan offense turned up the heat in the 79th minute when Mackenzie Anthony placed one perfectly into the left corner after a joint assist from Adele Francis and Justina Gaynor. The Spartans were up 1-0 with a goal many thought would be the final nail in the coffin against the Scarlet Knights. However, a handball in the Spartans 18 would give Rutgers the opportunity to tie it back up. And tie up the match is exactly what Rutgers midfielder Gabriella Gill did with a penalty kick in the 85th minute straight into the net. With less than 5 minutes left in the match, both teams amped up the pressure to try to come away with the victory, but as the 90th minute came to a close, the contest was left in a 1-1 draw. The Spartans stay unbeaten with a gritty rivalry match on Saturday, against Michigan.
Michigan State men's soccer took off to the West Coast for the first ever meeting with the number 15 UCLA Bruins. The Spartans did not take long to strike, as just 2 minutes into the match, Jonathan Stout fired a header past the Bruins goalie Wyatt Nelson for the lead. Stout now has 3 goals in the past 3 games, and the Spartans' single goal was enough to secure a 1-0 win. This is their first victory on the road of the year, moving to 3-4-2 on the season. Tonight at 8 p.m., MSU is set to take on the Northwestern Wildcats at DeMartin Stadium for more Big Ten play.
Michigan State volleyball traveled to Ann Arbor looking for their first Big Ten win of the season against Michigan. The Spartans were hoping to repeat a sweep from last year's contest. With every point Michigan scored in the first set, the Spartans answered with one of their own, especially with this ace from Rachel Maizinga. It was a tight game, but the Wolverines pulled through to win the first set 25-20. Michigan dominated the second set, winning 25-22. The Spartans held their ground in the third set with help from senior setter Julia Bishop with 16 assists and 11 digs, making this her second double-double of the season. But Michigan rode their momentum to the end and won the third set 25-17, sweeping the Spartans in 3 sets. MSU then traveled to Happy Valley on Sunday to face off against number 4 ranked Penn State. The Spartans fell in 4 sets, but Julia Bishop recorded a season-high 33 assists, along with Taylor Preston reaching a season-high 18 kills. MSU will be back in action on Friday as they travel to Wilkinson Hall to face off against the Indiana Hoosiers.
The Michigan State hockey team is gearing up for their 2024-25 campaign and spoke to the media last week about their hopes for this upcoming season. For the first time in program history, the Spartans were picked as the favorites to win the Big Ten after winning the regular and postseason conference titles. The team is also the consensus number 4 team in national preseason polls. After having their season ended at the hands of their rivals, the Michigan Wolverines, in the NCAA regional finals, the team has high expectations for themselves this season. Michigan State will head on the road to start its season this weekend with a 2-game series against Lake Superior State on October 4th and 5th.
Hoping to break a 2-game losing streak, the 5-4 Michigan State field hockey team took on a struggling 1-7 Ball State team this past Sunday. Grace Clokey found the net early in the first half, putting the Cardinals up 1-0. However, this would be the last goal either team scored until the 57-minute mark when Caro Schaefer scored for the Spartans to tie the game and send it into overtime. After a scoreless first overtime, freshman Lillian Canor found the net early to end the game and put another tally in the win column for Michigan State. Despite a low-scoring game, the Spartans' offense dominated the Cardinals, taking 13 more shots on goal. You can catch Michigan State field hockey back at home in action today against Miami, Ohio.
Last week, MSU men's tennis was in action in 3 different locations, starting off in Tulsa, Oklahoma for the ITA All-American Championships. Michigan State had 5 players advance to the main draw, the most of any team in the country. One of those 5 included senior Max Sheldon, who did so winning 2 matches in the pre-qualifier. He was one of 5 players in the field to qualify by winning multiple pre-qualifiers. Sheldon was the only one of those 5 in the Big Ten, earning him Big Ten Player of the Week, the first of his career. The Spartans failed to advance past that point. More men's tennis action included Josh Portnoy and Mitchell Sheldon, who headed to Milwaukee for the Milwaukee Tennis Classic. Both advanced to play on Saturday, but were knocked out before the semifinals. The Spartans will be back on the court this week as they set their sights on the M15 tournament in Ann Arbor.
Now shifting from men's to women's tennis, the Spartans took on Toledo, Youngstown State, and DePaul in the Toledo Rocket Invitational. MSU tallied 2 doubles victories over Youngstown State on Friday, with Izzy Purser and Hannah Cedevets prevailing 6-3. Later on, Oriana Parkins-Godwin and Natalie Stasny took a 6-2 win, closing out Friday. Michigan State won a combined 7 singles matches over Youngstown State and Toledo before taking 4 of 6 in singles play against DePaul on Sunday. And on tap for Michigan State is an appearance in the ITA Midwest Regional Championships on October 10th, with the MSU participants not yet determined.
Men's golf had a disappointing week at the Wyndham Memorial Classic. The Spartans struggled on day one, shooting 23 over par, but sophomore Lorenzo Panilli finished strong with an even par final round. As a team, MSU finished in 16th place at 51 over and will be back on the links this weekend in the Fighting Irish Classic in South Bend, Indiana.
That's all from us at Spartan Sports Report.
Stay up to date with all Michigan State athletics by following our social media accounts below, as well as the Spartan Newsroom website for additional coverage. I'm Charlotte Turbrack.
And I'm Brad LaPlante. Thank you so much for watching.